Hey, it's DK Irish at the Camp Kennerk podcast. This is a special episode. This is a happy camper interview episode, and this is number 18. So, our guest today is only 18 people in the world have ever had the opportunity, nerve, or bravery to come on and talk
Wow.
with Doug the neighbor and I. We can't say why or how or does he lose a bet somewhere, but we'll find all that out because Doug, the neighbor's an old friend of his, and we're just so excited because he's got a great story to tell. And even if it's not true, we don't care because we don't want the facts to get in the way of a good story. So, Doug, the neighbor, give me the 911 on a happy camper interview.
TK, so
911 happy camper interview for me. Sorry.
oh, we've got a guest who's ready to go. TK, it's
I
so good to see you. And we have, like you said, this is our 18th Happy Camper interview. And he is a longtime friend of mine because we were fraternity brothers back in El Paso when it was the University of Texas, Texas Western
Texas Western.
College. And then it changed the name to UTEP, which sounds like a foot disease, but we are longtime friends and we've renewed our friendship in the past couple of years with fraternity, SAE fraternity, Sigma Alpha Epsilon reunions, and just had some marvelous times together. I'd like to introduce you to Tom Blackwell. Tom, glad to have you here.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I'm honored.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to
Now,
be that,
Privilege.
Tom. No, Tom, you can't be honored now because, we aren't done. Wait till you get done, then you can say you're honored.
Well, so far, I feel honored. I'll put it that way.
you are honored. We are honored to have you. Believe you me. Now, Tom, the you and I met at Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity in El Paso, Texas, when it was Texas Western College. And that's in the olden days, long
I'll
ago,
say
far away. Now,
yes.
we were both in the same fraternity. What year did you graduate?
I actually graduated in 1970. I was a freshman in 1965 is when I started. I was obviously on the 5-year plan.
Okay.
Um, which I worked myself. I had 3 jobs putting myself through college, which I'm very proud of. So it took me a little longer to do it, but yeah, I graduated in 1970. And two corrections. We were fraternity brothers. We are fraternity brothers. We will always be. And Texas Western, is she that barking bothering you? No?
No, no.
Okay. Um, Texas Western turned to University of Texas in El Paso in 1967 while we were there. We were there
Yes,
during the transition. So,
yes, yes. Uh, and I graduated in 1970 also. You went on the 5-year plan. I went on the summer school plan. But
oh, good
because
for you.
I got kicked out a couple of times because of grades, beer, women, fraternity, too much fun. But I did graduate. I actually have the certificate over here to prove it. And now after I went on to Dallas, where did you go after El Paso?
Well, I stayed in El Paso after, well, I was an ROTC. So when I graduated, I was commissioned second lieutenant infantry, which at the time it was kind of ominous because of what was going on in Southeast Asia. Um, but fortunately, we had a president that was elected in 1968 that a lot of people don't like to hear his name, but Richard Milhouse Nixon saved me from going to Vietnam because he started the Vietnamization of the war. And they did not need all of the young, dumb cannon fodder second lieutenant infantry that was coming out of the infantry school in 1970 and 71. So immediately after graduation, I was at Fort Benning, Georgia for about 18 months, learning the trade. And
Okay.
during that time when I was there, they came in and announced that that was going to be the case for the vast majority of us in my class. There was, I think, about 210 of us in that class. The majority were second lieutenant, like I was. There were some first lieutenants who were um, attorneys that had to go through infantry school before they could go on the JAG Corps or whatever, do their attorney business. And there were about 5 or 6 captains that were direct battlefield commissions. They were helicopter pilots that had been chief warrant officers, and they commissioned them as captains, and they had to go through the infantry course also. So that was what made up the school. It was a pretty interesting bunch.
Well, on a sad note, Larry Dewey, our fraternity brother, who was a
Yes,
helicopter pilot,
he
was
was.
he
Yes,
was
sir.
he was shot down in 1971 or
I
72.
think it was, no, I think it was 70.
Yeah, 70.
I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, shot down there as a helicopter pilot, and I've looked up his story. He was on a rescue mission. He was
Yes, he was.
so that is why we always honor Larry Dewey, Captain Larry Dewey, at our fraternity reunions. So now you were at Fort Benning, Georgia. Where did you go after that, Tom?
Well, after the Benning, I came back to El Paso. One of the jobs that I had working myself through college was at the Popular Dry Goods department store, which I'm sure you remember.
Yes.
And they had offered me a position to be in their merchandising program, and I was a buyer at the Popular for men's sportswear, young men's sportswear, and designer clothing. And I did that for about 10 years
Now
in
that's
El
very
Paso.
interesting, Tom, because Tom Kennerk, TK,
I
Tom,
was in the same business as I did the same,
Were
took
you?
the same route. I didn't take the ROTC, but when I graduated from Indiana University, I came
Okay.
here to Dallas to work for Sanger Harris Department Stores, which is
Oh,
now
sure.
part of
Yeah,
Macy's. Same
I
thing,
remember Sanger's very well. Yeah.
yeah, men's
At the
clothing.
time when I was in the business, Sanger was an independent department store, like the Popular Dry Goods was an independent department store.
Hmm.
We were
Hmm.
not part of a chain, so it was in those days there were a lot of us, a lot of independent department stores around the country. They were great stores, and
Yeah,
they got
I
pushed aside.
I classified that period of time for the department stores as the golden age. I
It
mean,
was,
you
and they got
had,
pushed aside by all the big retailers. They sure
yeah,
did.
yeah,
and TK, what did were you a buyer for? You
men's
what
clothing.
men's clothing? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And juniors, young girls, hey, what can you say? And
Okay.
so, yeah, a little bit of everything, sheets, towels, domestics. If if we had to get it in the door and
Yeah,
out the
yeah.
door fast, that's what my job was. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And
I did too. I was the travel. I was in New York 4, 5, 6 times a year. Interesting, interesting stories from there. Some of them you probably don't want to hear in this. And then we go to also to California to the men's apparel, the magic show they call it, Men's
yeah,
Apparel Guild in California, a couple of times a year. They had a spring and fall show, and pretty interesting out there.
well,
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Really
yeah,
was.
people don't understand the difference of the fashion industry from that point of view compared to what it is today because the fashion changed so rapidly because all
Yeah.
our manufacturing was done here in the
Yes,
States.
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had, I don't, Doug, we had obviously Farah manufacturing in El Paso, but Levi Strauss hired me away from the Popular. I was a sales rep for them. And at that time, this would have been about 1980, 81. There were, I believe, 14 or 15 Levi Strauss plants in El Paso.
Yeah.
It was amazing all the manufacturing that was being done there. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
quite a
so
business.
you're at the Popular until
Mhm.
about 1981, and then you went to Levi Strauss. Were you based in San Francisco? How did that work?
No, my territory, I was in the menswear division, which got to be, in those days, it was the Action Slacks Panatella, which they has evolved. But my competition was Hager and Farah. That's what my competition was.
Two
And
companies there in El Paso, both companies in El Paso.
well, Farrah was. Hager was in Dallas. Their
Oh,
headquarters out of Dallas on Lemon Avenue. But my territory was from Del Rio, Texas, to Plainview, Texas, and everything west of that in the entire state of New Mexico. So I had a whole lot of dirt and not a whole lot of people necessarily. But it was quite it was a great experience. It was a good learning experience. Met a lot of people. Got to see a lot of the countryside. You name a road in New Mexico, and I've probably been on it. In a little town in West Texas, and I've been there. So it was quite something.
okay. Now, before we proceed much further, you've got a great story concerning that shiner you got there, and I think we should discuss it because the three of us are out of an age because of that shiner. Please tell us.
Well, that's I got in a fight with my skin cancer doctor.
Big
Um,
C. It's called Big C.
that's right. Actually, a week ago, this occurred a week ago today. I was in there for my checkup, and he froze this one off and cut. I have one over here that he cut off and had sent to the lab, and it came back, unfortunately, something that I need to take care of a little bit more. So that's going to occur later in this week too.
Okay. So
But yeah,
okay,
yes,
I've got a little bit missing right here. There was squamous cancer, and then they took
yeah,
some
that's what this
skin out
was.
of my shoulder here to put it there. And then TK's got a great story concerning it in the name of his doctor.
Yeah, Frosty.
That's a good one.
Hey,
Well, I like to tell people, they ask me why I go to the dermatologist all the time. When we were growing up, uh, sunblock was standing underneath a tree. That was sunblock. If you weren't, and we were outside all the time. We weren't sitting on the computer inside doing whatnot. From daylight to dark, we were out in the sunshine.
In El
And
Paso.
we're paying for it. Yeah, and we're paying for it now.
In El
Sure
Paso.
are.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, now let me back up a section here. I went to Eastwood High School there in El
Yes,
Paso. Where did you go to high school? We were the
I
troop.
went to the Grand Lady on the Hill, El Paso High School.
El Paso High School. And what were you, the Lions, Tigers, or Bears? What were you?
We were the Tigers. Are
Oh,
the
El
Tigers.
Paso
El
Tigers.
Paso.
Yes, our senior year, the Troopers played El Paso High, and I think we ground down to about a 12-6. You guys won 12-6 or something like that.
I think that's about right. Although I'm pretty sure, I know it was for Burgess, where Tom Behan and Puffer went to school, that,
Yeah.
they were originally, I used to call them the Big Five, although it's certainly not that way anymore. It was El Paso High School, Bowie High School, Austin High School, Jefferson High School, and Isleta High School. Those were the
Yes, that
five.
was the big ones. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, the first major Big Five that Burgess beat was El Paso High School when I was in school. And I'm pretty sure that the first one that Eastwood beat was El Paso High School.
Now
So
my senior year, we did not beat you. We did not.
no, but before
Uh,
that,
well, Eastwood. Before that, Eastwood. I was in the second class of Eastwood,
oh,
so I don't know.
okay, I'm thinking of Bel Air, excuse me, not Eastwood.
Bel Air, yes.
Yeah,
Now, so we got you out to Fort Benning, Georgia, and then we got you at the popular dry goods store, and now you're working at Levi's. So,
correct.
how did your life move along there?
Well, it was really moving. I had been through a divorce from my first wife and mother of my son. And so I was pretty much footloose and fancy free while I was with Levi Strauss starting off. And I met my second wife, who was she worked for Levi. She was actually in the jeanswear division of
Oh,
Levi Strauss, which is 501s and all of that kind of business. In my territory, I had 8 jeanswear reps. That's how small their territories were because their volume was larger.
right,
But
right.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Like being out, meeting people, helping them. I never considered it to be sales necessarily. It was problem solving. If you had an issue, how could I help? That's the way I approached
Sure.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Now, so how long were you at Levi?
I was with the Levi's for about 3.5 years, and then another fraternity brother of ours, David Elliott,
Oh,
who
David. Oh, yeah. Sweet guy. Sweet guy. Yeah.
we were very close, roommates, and he had meandered out to Orange County, California, was in the commercial real estate business and was making money hand over fist. And he just kept bugging me to come out there. And so we did. We moved to Huntington Beach, California. And at that particular time, I remarried to the guy I met from Levi Strauss, and we had a daughter, an infant daughter, when we moved out there.
Oh, I see. So you go to Huntington Beach with David Elliott, sweet guy, and I remember him, but sadly he
Wonderful
has
guy.
passed away. But you're in Huntington Beach, so you're getting lots of beach there in New Mexico and West Texas. Now you're
A lot
getting
of
real
beach.
beach out there in the ocean, and you're doing
Yes.
commercial real estate. And commercial meaning office buildings or
Well, yes, I started off doing leasing office and retail, but then I got into working with the developers and doing land transactions, either undeveloped land or land with entitlements on it, one or the other. And most of that was going on in what they call the Inland Empire, which was
yes.
along Interstate 15 from San Bernardino down to Escondido, which was across into San Diego County. But that area out there was just exploding.
Mhm.
A lot of stuff going on, and that's pretty much where I was spent most of my time was doing that.
Did you enjoy that?
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I sure
And it's
did.
a complete shift from what you were doing from college and in the dry goods business, retail dry goods business, now to real estate. So it's a major shift there, Tom.
Well, it is, Doug, but it's people.
Oh,
It's meeting people, uh, learning about them, um, finding out how you can just help them. Really, is the way I approached it. Like I wouldn't, you know, when I was, and what really got me that way when I was a buyer, I had salesmen coming into me all the time, and hammering me to buy something, and I did not like that approach at all. So I always approached it. How can I help you? Here's what I have things that I can talk to you about, but what are you looking for? What do you need? If they said nothing, I said, great. Here's my card.
use my
I'll
card.
be back. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So now, we got you up to Huntington Beach, right there on the beach. Huntington Beach, wasn't that where the Beach Boys were? Aren't they Huntington Beach?
No, they came from Manhattan, up the not Manhattan, right, just inside of Orange County. I mean, L.A. County. Uh, I can't remember, but they weren't 30 miles up the road. They
Oh,
were
okay.
not.
Okay. All right. Now, where are you now? Where,
I am now in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which
okay.
is 45 miles north of El Paso.
Yes, and when I
Uh,
was considering leaving New York City, I went up to the Mesilla area, and
yes.
I thought maybe this would be just beautiful, but I miss Texas so much. But I did seriously consider the Mesilla area.
Well, I am 10 minutes from Mesilla, where I'm sitting right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, isn't Steve Paxson there in Las Cruces?
Steve is. He's right up the road from me. Uh,
Another one
uh,
of our fraternity brothers.
another one of our fraternity brothers. Yep.
Yes. And he's
And
there in Las Cruces?
he is. They sure are.
Oh,
And they love it. Um,
and he did some yeoman's work there arranging for the fraternity reunion a couple of months ago in El Paso. He made
yes, he did.
arrangements for the poker room, up the card recreation room,
There you
and
go.
he
Yes.
made he had some food there, and we talked. Tom TK Steve Paxson was the guy who brought those. Uh, what were they? The sophapia, caramel sophapias. His wife
Yes,
made.
that his wife made. Yeah, they were delicious.
They were
Good
delicious.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of our we featured it on our podcast actually.
She's a very good cook.
Well, she needs to be in business. Yes. So you're in the Las Cruces area now. Have I made a big jump from Huntington Beach to Las Cruces, or was there
No,
something?
no, actually, from Huntington Beach, my second marriage failed there. And I was pretty much emotionally, financially, physically beat to a pulp.
Okay.
And another of my friends growing up, and also an SA, but at Texas Row at the University in Austin, Earl Maxon. I remember the Jackson's restaurants in El Paso. That was
They,
Jack Maxon.
they were, I think those guys were a year or two ahead of me.
Well, Jack was, yes. Earl was behind us a little bit, but they had Jackson's restaurants in El Paso, but Earl was lured away by, if you're familiar with the Austin area, with the County Line Barbecue, which is the headquarters is on Bee Cave Road. There's a
Well, I
location out there.
ate there at the county line about I'll say a month ago.
Okay.
Does
Well,
he still
Earl
own
and
that? Does he still own that?
no, well, he had two partners, and they gave them the only franchise operation that County Line had at the time. I don't think they have any at this moment. And
Oh,
it was Littleton, Colorado, which is southwest Denver, Colorado Springs, and Oklahoma City. So we had three operations. And Earl said, "Hey, come on, move up here to Littleton." He was a bachelor at the time. Move in with me. You can learn the restaurant business, and we're going to be expanding. Uh, Scottsdale and Las Vegas, et cetera, is what our plans are, and you can get involved in those as we go. So I picked up and moved from Huntington Beach, California, to Littleton, Colorado, in
now there's a
October.
big change. There's a big
That was a big change. It was. Uh, and I got there about the second week that they had an early snow in October. And I mean, I thought, great, we had a snow shovel, and I was out there shoveling snow off the driveway. And long about the first, third, or fourth week of January, I said, enough of this. I'm not shoveling any more snow. Holy smokes. It got the best of me, that shoveling snow.
Well,
so
Tom,
you were go
I
ahead.
just want to interject this, Tom. I'm really glad that you learned how to use a snow shovel to shovel that snow, because Doug has a shovel, but he doesn't shovel snow. And I'll leave it up to you to figure out what's moving off that shovel.
It's hard work. It really is.
Listen, I'm from Canada. I lived in New York City for 32 years. I
Okay.
know
Okay.
all
All
about
right.
shoveling, plus my personal, like TK says, what I personally shovel, you know. So, but you'd have been the only person in Littleton, Colorado with a tan out there shoveling snow.
Well, originally that's true. Yeah. For that first 6 months, I still had a tan. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. So now there's a county line there in El Paso. Is that
There is. They call it the state line in El Paso because
stop
it's
state?
actually on the state line of New Mexico, Texas. There
Yes,
at Southern Park.
I think we had a fraternity dinner there one night.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. So, so there, then you're going from the pants retail business to the real estate business to the restaurant business up there in Littleton, Colorado. The snow got up to your ears. Then what?
Well, now this is about, well, I want to say it's about 1993, and one of our customers came into the Littleton restaurant one day and said, "Hey, you guys seen this place downtown? You got to go check this place out." And I remember it was February. We went down there on a Tuesday. It's across the street from the University of Denver, or Denver University, and there was a line coming out the door and going halfway down the block. Earl and I thought, son of a God, what is this all about? So we got in line and went in there, and there was a little place called Chipotle's.
Oh my gosh.
So we looked at it and saw that there was not a whole heck of a lot of prep. There was no wait staff. In most businesses, I'm sure, and it's particularly in the restaurant business, staff is the major issue that you have, without a doubt. So we looked at this thing and thought, holy moly, this thing looks pretty good. So we decided that we were going to knock them off. And Earl sold out. He had the majority interest of the county line business. So he sells out to his two partners with the agreement that they had. And we came back to El Paso and developed our recipes that we were going to use to, and our concept that was going to be better than Chipotle's, and looking for a place to put it. And we were looking around. I traveled all over the West and Southwest looking for a spot. And one of Earl's fraternity brothers from Texas, Austin, was an attorney in Fort Worth. He's from Fort Worth. And he says, you guys got to come over here and see Sundance Square, which is the Bass Brothers. If you're familiar with the Bass Brothers
I've
family,
been up
they're,
there.
you know,
TK
billionaires. And
Yeah.
they redeveloped with their own money 10 square blocks of downtown Fort Worth. And so we went and looked and we thought, holy moly, there was like with the location that we got. And if you know that building downtown, I mean, excuse me, in Sundance Square that has the cattle drive mural on the side of it, you looked out our front window and you looked right at that mural. It was right in the middle of the action. And we thought, man, this is the place. So we went to Fort Worth and we made a mistake going to Fort Worth. Great town. I love Fort Worth, but it was a meat and potatoes town. They didn't know or what wraps from, you know, it's nothing but a glorified burrito is all it is. And we were just ahead of our time to be there. If we would have gone, there was a place we were looking at that was in Austin, that was on Guadalupe. It was the one thing that was a drawback, in my opinion, was about 4.5, 5 miles from the campus. But I think if we would have gone to Austin, I think we would have been fine. But we lost our rear ends in Fort Worth. So we moved back to El Paso.
Okay.
And at that particular time, Jack Maxon had sold the Jackson's restaurants and was talked into starting an upscale restaurant on the west side of town that was called Jack Star Grill. And Earl and I got in there with that and started that and got it going. But that didn't last either.
Mhm.
But the great thing about it, being back in El Paso, and this is a name that you'll probably remember, I was introduced to Jackie Guadagnoli, who was, the whoop-de-doo super women's tennis champion. She was a state tennis champion in Texas.
Yeah.
And when she was 15, she was the third-ranked junior player in the United States. That's how good she was. So we all knew about her. I didn't know her, but I knew of her. But a mutual friend of ours who was an internist, and she was at that particular time, Jackie had gotten her degree, her doctorate degree in psychology, and she was helping Dr. Abood, my friend that I went to high school with his patients with pain management. And he asked me if I was, dating anybody, and I said no. And he said, "Would you like me to set you up?" And I said, "I don't know, with who?" And he said, "Jackie Guadagnoli." And I thought, holy moly. Yes, so he did, and this was in 1999, and boy, we just were made for each other.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Jackie, then I'm sorry to get drunk to you, but she gets an offer from the state of Hawaii Department of Education to be a counselor, psychologist counselor for school districts on the island of Oahu. So in July of 2000, we picked up and moved to Oahu.
Are you okay? Okay, so I need a compass here. El Paso to Fort Benning, Georgia, back to El Paso for the Popular, then Levi, then Huntington Beach, then Littleton, Colorado for a restaurant, and then to El Paso.
Briefly,
Fort Worth for a restaurant,
yep.
And then to El Paso, and now Hawaii.
Correct.
All right.
I used to tell people, don't write my name and my phone number down in ink. Put it in pencil. But you don't need to do that anymore. You got one time, or it doesn't matter where you go.
Doesn't matter,
but I did in those days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and our bonds are still strong. So, how did you get to? You told me a story. You got into the telecom business.
I did, because I had a background in commercial real estate. there was a company in Oahu, it's called Hawaiian Tel and Tel, that was starting up a cell phone business, and they needed somebody to um, acquire cell sites on the island of Oahu, make negotiate leases on buildings or open land, whatever the case may be, for the various places around the island where their engineers told them we need a cell tower here, we need one over here, whatever. So I would
Yeah, yeah,
go about,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they hired me because I had the real estate background, commercial real estate. So I did that for a while. Yes.
Okay, so when you and I were going out for dinner in El Paso for the reunion, I had a question for you, and it's kind of stuck with me for some time, and you answered it, and I think that our viewers would enjoy this line of questioning. All right, so you're in the telecom business, and your engineers say, okay, we triangulate this, the cell tower, this. This is a terrific spot to put a cell tower. Okay. Now, you don't, the ones I've seen, you don't need a lot of space for the cell tower. They sit on a little triangle, a little square pad, a couple of guy wires, but you don't need a lot of space. So
You don't.
let's assume I got a restaurant over here, and your engineer's saying, okay, over there in the back parking lot of my restaurant. And you come to me and you say, Mr. Doug the neighbor, this is a terrific spot for a cell phone tower. We will build it for you, and we're going to pay you for this cell phone tower.
Correct.
What's the price you're going to, what are you going to offer me?
Well, in those days, in that case, this is the early 2000s on the island of Hawaii, to put a cell site on a building, not even build a tower, okay, on a downtown building, let's say, and you've seen the antenna sitting on the sides of building. We
Sure.
started by offering the owner of the building a $3,000 a month for us to put that cell site on their building. We paid for all the electricity. We paid for putting the site up there. We paid for taking it off whenever the time came. So they were, and that's per each carrier. So if you had a location that was good for AT&T and it was good for Sprint in those days and for whoever it may be, each one of those companies that wanted to put their cell site on your building would pay you about the same amount of money. It can be very, very lucrative. Very.
Okay,
For,
now you distinguished it between, like, I've seen the equipment on the side of buildings. I'm referring to a tower where you have to deed out or a small chunk of land on my back parking lot of my DTN restaurant, whatever. Is the cost the same or the price the same? Would it be
well,
about the
it would be more based on the square footage of the piece of property that you were going to lease us.
Okay, now
Uh,
I've seen some pretty small places and it's just got a little fence around it and there's a
they
huge
are
tower there.
They are, but they would probably be around the same, if not a little bit more, price wise. Even today, I would imagine something that in the year 2002, we were offering $3,000 for in Hawaii. Probably today, somewhere in the United States, for instance, is probably at least double that. So something that was going to take a tower, which is a much bigger piece of property that you are uh, needing from the landowner, it's going to be more money. I promise you, it's going to be more money.
Okay.
It's a very lucrative situation. The, um, the drawback usually is the unsightliness of the tower. That
Right.
can be mitigated in a lot of ways. You know, now they have them looking like pine trees, for instance, and they have them looking like palm trees too. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ways that they can mitigate that. But doing business with a cell phone company that wants to put an antenna on your property is something that you should take very, very seriously because it can be very lucrative.
Well, here in the deep eddy of Austin, I don't think the neighbors would be too excited about me considering putting a cell phone tower right over there, because
Well,
it's a neighborhood. But I'd
Well,
consider
Doug, you're looking at it all wrong. You got it all wrong
That,
here.
that's right.
First of all, you know the rules. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission.
That's right.
So you just do it, and then they knock on your door, and you go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness gracious! I'll tell you what. We'll give you free cell service for the rest of your life."
it.
So what would probably be necessary in a situation like that, where you're going to be actually building a structure on a piece of property on dirt, you're going to have to go in front of the planning commission, and they're going to do all of that business where your neighbors are going to be notified
Oh, oh,
beforehand.
oh, well, here in Austin, in to build anything, just a house, anything, the over under from the day a piece of property is sold until the tear down and to the rebuild and the door is open on the new property is 2 years. And each and
Surprise.
every builder, or excuse me, neighbor in this area, they all say the same thing: Austin permits, just permits, permits,
Yep.
permits. Yeah,
Yep.
So all right, so you're in the cell phone business in Hawaii, leading the good life, getting another tan, right? How did you
True.
then what happened to get you to New Mexico?
Well, a couple of things. Hawaiian Tel was bought out by then Sprint had their cell phone company was called Sprint PCS,
Okay.
and it had split off. It was its own entity, had its own New York Stock Exchange symbol, and they were looking for what people in their business there on Oahu, and they hired me to be business to business sales. So I called on business owners with staffs to that sell their employee packaging, a cell phone plan to the company. In the military, I worked with in the military too, getting their
Okay.
cell phones.
Okay.
So that lasted for a while, and then uh, in their infinite wisdom, Sprint took PCS and Sprint joined them back together and eliminated 28,000 jobs nationwide, which mine was one. And so now we're on Oahu. Jackie's doing great in her job. And I always wanted to get, I've been playing golf since I was 7 years old, and I always wanted to get in the golf business. And I had made a good relationship with a director of golf at Ko'olina Resort on the island of Oahu, which has a Disney timeshare property on it now, plus the golf course. And so he brought me on to uh, run the golf shop. I did the junior golf program, and I was a marshal part of the time, which was very interesting because we had at least two busloads of Japanese tourists a day that would fly in and play golf. And I'm telling you, those people, uh, they spent money like they had a printing press brought with them. It was amazing. Uh, Lovely people. They were very, very nice, but it was an interesting business. So I did that. Jackie and I decided if we're staying in the islands, we're getting the heck off of Oahu. Oahu has just about 1 million people on it, give or
Yeah.
take, plus
Yep.
tourists. And there was somebody told me that a company called Ecolab, which is out of St. Paul, Minnesota, worldwide, they've got big 5 different divisions, was looking for a territory manager on the island of Kauai. So I went into the guy's office, and 30 minutes later, he had hired me, and they moved us to Kauai. And we were on Oahu for 5 years, and we were on Kauai for 7 years. And Kauai that's the place.
Paradise.
Uh, people like to go to Maui. Maui's kind of like Southern California. It's all built up. And I think on Kauai, you don't have any of that. It's about the same size geographically as Oahu or Honolulu is, which has over 1 million plus people. The daytime population of Kauai I should be their chamber of commerce, is about 75 to 80,000 plus tourists. They have an island-wide ordinance that no building can be higher than a palm tree, so there's no high rises. You can see it forever. It's wonderful. It's a great place. And we were there for 7 years.
Okay.
and I was working for Ecolab, and it was terrific. Really was. We had a great time.
Oh, that's interesting because when I got to Austin, I was the marshal over here at the Lions Golf Club over here. It's about 2 blocks away. I really enjoyed that. I'm not a very good golfer, and when we were at the reunion, you took us to Top Golf, and you were kind enough to give me some instructions. I was hitting it straight, and so that's a good sign. And that was the
That is
first
good.
time I had clubs in my hand probably in 7 or 8 years, and I kind of enjoyed it. So, so.
Let's get out and do it some
Going from
more. It's
Hawaii now. The great question is how do we get you to Las Cruces, New Mexico?
okay. Well, now I get my mom is has macular degeneration. She's going blind. She's in El Paso, and she's got some other health issues. And Ecolab offers me a promotion and a position that moved us back to the mainland. So believe me, I heard about this over breakfast for quite a while. We moved from Hawaii to Lubbock, Texas.
Oh, oh, oh,
And one of my high school mates that I played baseball and football with went to Texas Tech. And by this time, now it's years later, he is the editor of the Lubbock Avalanche Journal. So
okay.
he's a big deal. So I called Randy and I said, "Hey, I'm moving to Lubbock." "Oh, great. When are you coming?" So we talked. He says, "Gosh, you're going to love it here." I said, "Oh, yeah. Why is that?" He says, "You got dogs?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, if your dog runs away, you can watch him for a week," which, which, which is true. It's flat as a table out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were there about almost 2 years, and I was complaining so because Jackie hated it. We complained so much that their same position became available with Ecolab in Albuquerque. So we moved from Lubbock to Albuquerque.
Okay.
And my territory was New Mexico plus El Paso with working with Cisco Foods. That's what I was doing with their sales force. They they delivered and sold our merchandise, and so I helped them do that. That was my position.
Okay.
And retired with them. And Jackie hated being cold, wanted to move back somewhere warm. So we saw this place here. She loved it. And I thought, oh boy, I get to live on a golf course. So here we are. Well, I am. She unfortunately didn't get to be here that long.
Oh, okay.
She,
Now this is a beautiful, beautiful story, Tom. Now, a couple of questions. You wrote a book.
I did.
Do you have a copy of the book there?
Well, it just so happens.
Okay, hold it on up a bit, please. A little back. Oh, you're gonna have to take it back a bit. Okay, there you go. Unexpected encounter. Okay,
Correct. And that's my nom de plume, Thomas Walters. I don't know why I did that, but I did.
that's okay. And brief history of what the book is about. You've got plenty of adventures to talk about, but what is the book about?
Well, this book's about a 50-ish PGA professional tour champion. He's a major champion. He's financially set because of his such a great golfer and all of his endorsements that he has. And he is coming to the tournament in Fort Worth to play. And his publicist has set him set up to do an interview with a local female reporter from the Fort Worth paper that has a reputation for being a real ball buster, and he doesn't want to do it.
Okay.
But it's set up, and that's how it all starts.
Okay, so it ends up being a love story, right?
It is a love story, correct?
Oh, that's beautiful. And one more time, what is the name of that book, please? And
It's
show it.
called Unexpected Encounter.
Could you show it to the camera, please?
Yes, Unexpected Encounter. It is available on Amazon.
Oh, it's available on Amazon. Okay, that's
Yes, it is.
terrific. And your pen name is Thomas Walters.
Thomas Walters. My full name is Walter Thomas Blackwell the third, which is a
My
mouthful.
grandfather was named Walter Thomas Hayward, so that's
Okay.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Now that's good. And when did you put the book out? When was the book published?
It was published on Amazon on the 14th of December of last year.
Oh, so 6, 7 months, or
Mhm.
7, 8 months. Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
Now, beautiful, beautiful story of your life. Tom, TK has a question for you. Of all your adventures, he'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Give him the history of why you want to ask it, Tom.
All right. Well, first of all, Tom, you were talking about traveling through Texas and New Mexico. I know those roads. I used to travel the border, El Paso, Del Rio, Eagle
Oh, sure.
Pass. Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, if you
So you've
want to,
been to Sanderson.
oh yeah, so it's not for the faint of heart, but you do what you got to do, right, Tom?
That's very true.
So, I don't know if you realize this. I grew up in Indiana. I was just a simple farm boy from Indiana, growing up on the
Okay.
farm, and decided that a pen fit in my hand easier than a shovel. So, but my father had to convince me that the shovel, was a solid fit. So, we had a farm. We raised popcorn,
Okay.
and it was a special blend. It was for Jiffy Pop popcorn.
I love
So,
Jiffy Pop.
oh man,
It
I
came
tell
with
you
that
what,
little frying pan with the little foil thing that was great stuff. I loved it.
one
When
of the
it came
greatest
out,
marketing.
I switched from doing, popcorn in the oil to the Jiffy
Yeah.
Pop because it was easy, first of all, but it tasted great. I loved it.
Oh yeah, imagine I've had my share for decades, but we have a lot of fun with it, and we even have a little popcorn festival here at Camp Kennerk, and
Oh,
have instructional things like how to make popcorn balls, and I think they're instructional because no one's ever come back to me saying I told them wrong, but what the heck? So the question I have, I think you sort of answered it. Do you make your popcorn in the microwave or do you do it stovetop?
now I do it because I'm lazy. I do it in the microwave now.
That's
I do.
okay. There's no wrong
And
answer,
it's what's his name?
Orville Redenbacher,
That's the one. Yep. And I use the movie popcorn. It's the one I like of his varieties.
and big fluffy kernels, the
Yep,
big,
it is.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's beautiful, TK and Tom. Now, Tom, you have led a very interesting, well-traveled life in many, many different venues and endeavors. So, what advice would you give to a high school class, a college class of young people, a niece and nephew about life? What would you tell these young people about your life and how they should proceed in their life?
Well, several things. First of all, the good Lord gave you two ears and one mouth. So listen more than you talk and be a good listener. Don't just give them, you know, listen to what they're saying. And uh, by doing that, you can relate to anybody by being a good listener. That's number one. Number two is be aware of what's going on around you all the time. Another way that you can pick up what is going to benefit you and them is by being aware of what's going on around you. Number three, and probably the most important about anything that anybody does, is be committed. If you're committed, you're going to do what it takes to get it done. And I heard a long time ago, I believe it was my grandfather, who was a cotton farmer down in the lower valley of El Paso, Clint, uh, told me about being committed. And he says, for breakfast, for instance, if you have bacon and eggs for breakfast, he says, the chicken is involved, that pig was committed. So be committed. Um, uh, so that is, and relationships, building relationships, and the right relationships uh, go a long way to getting you ahead, and building friendships, staying involved, staying committed. I think those are the things that I know I've recommended those to my grandkids. So, yeah,
Wise words, Tom. You and I have known each other since our college days. We are still visiting our friendship, renewing our friendship, chatting like right now. TK and I have known each other since the 70s when we both worked in a restaurant in Dallas, Texas. So I believe in friendships, and here we are renewing our friendship now.
yep, me too. And I
it's
thank you for the opportunity to chat. I appreciate it
okay.
very much.
And also for a gift, and I think I've already given these to you. These are the keychains
I
from.
do. I have a couple of them.
Okay, these are the keychains from our Possum Trot uh, flipper walk every year, where we walk up Possum Trot and to in scuba flippers to raise money for Dell children. And you were very kind to hold the camera when I shot one of my videos out there in El Paso, and I certainly appreciate it. But you already have these. I just wanted to remind you that they're
I
these.
do. Thank you. And
And
that's
now
a
that we're
wonderful.
all going through Big C with
Mhm.
this and this
Yep.
and
Yep.
this and this, flip off Big C. That is what this is
That's a
all
great cause. You're doing a wonderful thing, Doug, with that. That's a
about.
great
Okay.
cause.
Now, it's been beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank
We will
you.
forward this to all of the fraternity brothers. And do you have any last word that you would like to say?
Well, as far as the fraternity brothers are concerned, I look forward to seeing as many of us as we can gather next June in Scottsdale. I believe is where we're going to be. I always look forward to that. Stay safe, uh, stay committed, stay active, and believe in Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior, as I
Beautiful,
do.
beautiful, beautiful words. TK, Doug the neighbor here. Play ball.
Aaron Go Brawl.